Hello. This video is about affordable and available alternatives to Divine Worship Daily Office for those who would like to pray it but either can't get it or can't afford it. It is, at the time of this recording, August of 2026. The North American edition of Divine Worship Daily Office has been out of print for years now, and the most recent printing was supposed to be shipping in December of last year, but still isn't available. So I myself don't have a copy, and those who would like to pray it are going to need an alternative. And so, of course, the first alternative would be the Commonwealth edition, which is available, but at I think 75 British pounds. Last I checked, it's not inexpensive. Now, it's a quality book, but you know, quality things cost money. Also, if you don't live in the United Kingdom, you'll have to have it shipped to you, which is an additional cost. So, of course, the first option is to use one of the online versions. So, the North American edition, John Covert runs a website which has all of the official prayers and texts populated and available. Likewise, there are a few different options for the Commonwealth edition. But, and this isn't the subject of this video, I'll probably make a future video about this topic at some point, but you know, there are reasons why you should prefer to pray from a book, or why you would prefer to have a physical print copy of a prayer book. So I'm going to start by talking about the Commonwealth edition. The Commonwealth edition, if you cannot afford it or cannot get a hold of it, the English Office book has been reprinted. It's print on demand, and essentially this is the basis of the Commonwealth edition of Divine Worship Daily Office. This is essentially the 1662 morning and evening prayer with Anglo-Catholic additions, what we would call enrichments, things like antiphons and hymns, taken from the liturgical tradition and made available to kind of tack on. And I've used this independently, and I've kind of compared, and I believe that the vast majority, if not all, of the contents of this also have been adopted by the Commonwealth edition of the Daily Office book. Now it's available via Amazon and other places online for less than $20 US. And because it's print on demand, it's probably going to be printed much closer to your country, wherever you happen to be. Now, the downside, at least in the copy I have, is that the quality of the printing is not fantastic. I'm not sure how well this shows up, but the red is kind of faint. There are some places where the text is a little distorted. It's clearly readable and usable, but it's not as crisp as I personally would like it to be. This was originally produced in 1956, and you can see there's some inconsistency in the weight of the text. It's obviously a scan of some sort, which could be a little better, but it's perfectly usable, and it essentially conforms to the 1662 Book of Common Prayer. And all these sort of propers are going to be the same, for the most part, as what's found in the Ordinariates edition. A couple of differences would be, so it doesn't contain a table of readings, so you'll have to find that somewhere else. And so a few things are that the Our Father is the older version with the Our Father which art in heaven, and the Ordinariate book is going to have Who art in heaven. If you're a layperson and if you're clergy in the Ordinary, you shouldn't be using this book. This whole video is directed towards lay people. I should probably add that, who have a little bit of freedom. So lay people should say, "O Lord, hear our prayer and let our cry come unto thee," rather than "The Lord be with you and with your spirit." That's a difference. And the other differences are the collects in the Ordinariate books are not necessarily going to be the same as in this. Also, the calendar that this is based on is the sort of pre-Vatican II calendar. So there will be exceptions, but you could pray the offices of morning and evening prayer from this, and you would be very, very close to what's in Divine Worship Daily Office. It doesn't have the minor hours, but it does have the Office of the Dead and some other things. Now, if you are more interested in the North American edition, then you have a few options as well. One is the sort of concise edition of morning and evening prayer with the 1928 Psalter from Walsingham Publishing. That's John Covert's sort of publishing. He's put this together, and it's just the bare bones text out of the Book of Common Prayer and other places, which have been adopted by the North American Ordinariates. So it has the order of morning and evening prayer and the Psalms. It lacks the collects and the readings. It doesn't have a table of readings, but you can download for free or purchase a copy of the Ordo for the North American Ordinariate, which will give you all of the daily lectionary reading references. And then you will have to also kind of make do with taking a collect from some other source, like the Book of Common Prayer or someplace else, depending on what you're comfortable with. Of course, the other alternative is to get an old copy of the 1928 American Book of Common Prayer. You can get one for, I think this was $6-7 on eBay. But of course, it's going to conform a little bit less than this would, in that the 1928 American Book of Common Prayer has some oddities in it, some American oddities that are not included in the Ordinariate, such as the sanitized version of the Venite. So the you are permitted to use, well, the 1928 American Book of Common Prayer permitted the use of the entire Venite, but the one printed in the order has kind of removed the part about this. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the day of trouble. It leaves out the part that's these sort of harsh words I've heard them referred to as. So be aware of that. Be aware that if you were going to use this, you should also be aware of those same things in the Commonwealth version, as far as the "Don't say the Lord be with you," and also, for reasons I do not understand, the American Episcopalians, they start the office with "O Lord, open thou our lips." They don't have the "O God, make speed to save us," which is strange, because that's how all of the traditional offices open, and I don't know why it's like that, but it's very close to what was adopted by the Personal Ordinariate of St. Peter. So it is an option if you're looking for something to fill the gap until such a time as they actually are shipping copies of the North American edition of Divine Worship Daily Office. Now, of course, neither of these contain the minor offices of, let's say, Prime, Terrasex, Non, and Compline. But, shameless self-promotion here. I myself have made those available in the Plainchant and Breviary minor hours, which can be purchased from lulu.com. The sources of these are from Anglo-Catholic prayer books from the 19th century. So that's about it. Hopefully they will actually ship these in September, which is the current expected date of release for the North American edition of Divine Worship Daily Office. But if not, these are some alternatives, and I tend to take this book with me when I travel, for example, because I don't want to carry my nice, expensive, less easy to get a hold of copy of the Commonwealth edition that I usually use at home. So that's it. And if you have any questions or additional suggestions, you can drop those into the comments. Goodbye for now.